I'm Rebecca, and this is how my ESCI 310 course changed how I see my philosophy of teaching science. So I always thought that teaching science expressly involves the scientific way of knowing. I never saw a difference between science and the scientific way of knowing. For me, science class was always about finding the right answer, often concerned with facts and usually having a right or wrong answer. There usually isn't any room for any type of gray area. The scientific way of knowing has many facts that back up their theories. They're concerned with having specific physical evidence. They want proof of things. However, looking at science this way creates the question of what about those gray areas? What about those things that don't fit into the nice separate boxes that the scientific discourse likes to use? Where do they then fit in our scientific discourse? This is where the scientific ways of knowing is limited. It is also where I think it is important to be aware of other discourses and ways of knowing that take those gray areas into account. Especially in a teaching perspective, we have the responsibility to shape students' understanding of the world around them. What we teach, as well as what we do not teach, shapes the future generations. So as teachers, it is important that we teach using multiple discourses and ways of knowing. Teaching using both a scientific way of knowing as well as an indigenous way of knowing can provide students with a deeper understanding of science. When I teach my students science, I want to show them the different ways that there is to understand the world around them. Incorporating something such as outdoor experiences, like the ones we took, can not only expand students' understanding of what they learn in the classroom, but it can help them to make sense of their world. Those outdoor experiences are also great ways to have the focus shift to indigenous ways of knowing. It can help lead discussions towards different world understandings. Kahete talks about on page 62 of Philosophy of Native Science, which is a reading we did for our class, that a worldview is a set of assumptions and beliefs that form the basis of a people's comprehension of the world. A teacher can be one of the most important people in a student's life to help them mold their worldview and understanding of the world that they are in. By incorporating different ways of knowing in how I teach and how other teachers teach, it supports the diverse students that they have in their classroom and those students' understandings and ways of knowing. Kahete also talks about on page 63 how education is a big part of the problem when it comes to discourses, but it can also be the solution. If educating students focuses solely on one perspective or one worldview, then that is where it becomes a problem for students who think in different ways. But by being open to the different ways of knowing, you can begin to solve past problems that were the result of the enforcement of strictly the scientific way of knowing in schools. So this class has helped me to become more confident to be that teacher who challenges the traditional scientific way of knowing and teaching, and intertwines both indigenous and scientific ways of knowing into the way I teach. That is why I chose to represent this image of half a skull. Half of it is made to represent the hard facts of science, and the rough side created with flowers is to show how science can be free-flowing and ever-changing, and that there's not always one way to think about it. Science is more than physical facts. It's curiosity and exploration of our surroundings, and their interaction with each other and our interaction with them. Changing my worldview on what science actually is and can be, I think, is one of the most important things that I learned in the past 3 years of education. And that is something I learned from this class, ESCI 310. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.